Welcome to Sacred Sessions Ireland, where we gather online every week to connect to the sacred land of Ireland. My name is Vicky Flanagan, and I'm an intuitive energy worker, Reiki master, and daughter of Ireland. For people that are wanting to work with me one-on-one, I do offer energy healing at a distance, online, and also in person. So any details will be in the caption of this video. These sessions are for anyone that's interested in connecting with the land of Ireland, rebuilding their sense of belonging to the land, to the earth, and also to themselves. Reciprocity is at the heart of these meditations and these sessions. So that's the practice of giving and receiving versus taking. So there's absolutely access for healing, connecting to our ancestors, and also connecting to Indigenous wisdom. So I do recommend joining live sessions if you can, because we can become part of a community. We get to ask questions and share our insights that we gain during the meditations. And then for today's session, I'm really excited as we embrace the flow of life with the River Boyne. I mentioned before, there's so much in the River Boyne, from its history and mythology to even the ecology, the water element itself, the river current. And there's so many different healing properties and benefits. But for today's session, we're going to focus on mythology and the power of story and how that works in our life. We're also going to weave in a little bit about rivers and also the element of water and how that also plays into our story and how that can help activate within us our hero's journey, our purpose, and how we can live that through our life with more grace, with more joy and abundance, so that we can nourish our own lives and the lives that we touch just by being ourselves, by being our true form. So for people who have never seen the River Boyne or don't know much about it, the River Boyne is a sacred river in Ireland. So it's about 70 miles long. It begins or rises at Trinity Well, which is in County Kildare, and then it meanders its way through County Offaly, County Meath, where I live, and County Louth before it reaches and joins the Irish Sea. So that's the River Boyne. It's a really beautiful river. So my favorite thing about this work is looking at the mythology after I tune in energetically, and I've mentioned that before in other videos. So there are many different versions of the creation story of the River Boyne that's rooted in mythology. So what I notice is typically when I tune into the energy of a land, of a sacred site, or the land in general, an element, it seems to lead back in ways to mythology, even loosely, where we can find themes that are explored within the myths are also similar to the themes or the purposes of the sacred sites or the energies that are present. So the story seems to hold the energy of the land's purpose or the medicine, which I think is pretty cool, because it means we can really dive deep into the mythology as well as our own intuition and kind of see if they correlate and see what helps us. And in my opinion, one of the major themes of the River Boyne and its energetic purpose would be to teach us how to embrace the flow of life. And we can kind of say this is true for any river. The journey is like the momentum of life. So when you're born, you go through life and you're always returning towards stillness. And it's the same for the river. It rises at the well of wisdom in this case, and actually moves through its journey, returning home to the sea or to its lowest point. So our journey in life, just like the river, there's so many opportunities for growth. Even if we know obstacles that come in the way in a river, if it is a really large rock, for example, the river can't stop and turn around. It has to keep flowing through. So even if that means over time eroding the rock, even the debris from the rock will nourish the water, the life within the water, for the rest of the journey. And it's similar to our life in that any obstacles that we come up against, which are typically fears that we have to find a way around it. Otherwise, they anchor us and cause us to be really stagnant. So by embracing the flow of life, we get to be nourished by what we overcome. And then that gets to kind of ripple out into our life so that we touch the lives of others. And also, as we return to our stillness, our journey home in life, what lives on is our story, the lives we touch, the growth that we can bring back to our soul. That's invaluable, So there's so much wisdom in it when we look at the element of water and we look at the river and the River Boyne in particular. And to talk about the stories of creation, we need to talk about Goddess Bóinn. So Boyne is an Irish goddess of the River Boyne, and her name means she of the white cow. So there's so many stories about Boyne, but the most famous is her creation of the River Boyne. So she's the goddess of water, she's the goddess of fertility, poetry, knowledge. There's a really beautiful video that I'll share with people in the captions and also in email about. It's a really short video on YouTube. It's one of the versions of the creation story. So I'll just kind of loosely explain it here, but there's one of the versions is Goddess Bóinn, who under a spell by Nectin, who was part of the Tuatha De Danann, so the supernatural race in ancient Ireland, he put her under a spell. And so she was stuck in the form of a well, which is at the foot of Carberry Hill. It's also called Nectin's Well, I think, or Nectin Hill. And her people around her were dying of hunger because the land was dry and it was infertile and no seeds could grow. So Boyne, stuck in the form of a well, was longing to become her true form again, which was the River Boyne. And her longing became so great that she decided to move against the sun. So she started to move counterclockwise around the well, and she plucked a hazelnut from the magic hazelnut trees that are around the well. And this combination caused the water of the well to surge up, overflow, and then she was able to return to her true form as the River Boyne. And then as she flowed through the Boyne Valley, she was able to nourish the land and then create a lot of abundance for the communities of the land. So I love that story. That's the story where the video, and I will share it because it's so nice. Then there's another version. Okay, so I want you to feel in your body how the first version felt. And here's the second version. It's really, it's fun to listen to and to learn, but when we think about the power of story and the impact it can have on our own journey and our own story, it's quite interesting. So the other story, and I think this is probably more popular or more well known, is Goddess Bóinn was the wife of Nectin, again, one of the Tuatha De Danann. And according to the legend, the Well of Wisdom was located in his garden, the Garden of Nectin, and was the home of the Salmon of Knowledge. So you may have heard the Salmon of Knowledge story as well. So this well was surrounded by the 9 magic hazel trees. And as the hazelnuts fell into the well, the salmon would eat the hazelnuts and, embody that wisdom from the magic hazelnuts. And then in Ireland, like hazelnuts and also salmon do represent wisdom. So eating the hazelnuts that fell into the well, drinking the well water, or eating the salmon that ate the hazelnuts that fell into the water, that was said to grant wisdom and poetic inspiration. So no one was allowed to approach the well other than Nectin. And even though Boyne knew she was forbidden, she really wanted to gain the knowledge and the wisdom herself. So she went to the well, even though it was forbidden, and the well refused her. So obviously she wasn't going to accept that she was being refused by the well. So she challenged the well by walking around it 3 times counterclockwise. And this caused, again, the torrent, the surge, and the waters like violently came out of the well. And in the myth, it says that it dragged her along. The river dragged her along. She lost an arm and a leg and an eye, and eventually she lost her life. She did gain the knowledge and the wisdom that she was looking for, but she lost her mortal life. So she became the River Boyne. So that's one of the more popular versions of that creation of the River Boyne in mythology, and notice how different they are. You know, some of the points still remain, the well of wisdom, but the intention behind becoming the River Boyne, the creation of the River Boyne, is very, very different. One story is like really inspiring and it brings hope and empowerment, and a story of, you know, giving one's life or having a life purpose that nourishes, that serves the greater good by being your true form. So it's that longing to be yourself so that you can activate that, all the goodness that you have, and share that. It's kind of like the meaning of life. It can signify, you know, returning back to stillness, we're returning back to spirit or death, but it's also got a rebirth in it, and it's a story that will inspire other people. The other story is I mean, although it's great to listen to, it's definitely filled with themes of like fear and control and greed, and there's kind of like a sense of condemnation. So again, just noticing the power of story, and how we tell our story has the power to either inspire people, it has the power to bring hope and empower ourselves along the way. So we can actually create our own hero's journey, or we can, our story can almost be our own condemnation or like demise in a way. So I know there's certain ways to tell a story that people won't want to listen to because it won't bear any fruit. Sometimes we can tell a story, and if it feels quite defeating, no one really wants to hear this because it may stop them in their tracks, and we're all trying to flow. We're all trying to embrace the flow of life. So we're really, I mean, the best kind of stories are the stories that tell you to go for it, to be yourself, to be authentic, that you're needed, that you're valuable. Those are the stories that we want. So, you know, water, again, in Chinese medicine, water is in the season of winter. And as we know, winter's all about slowing down, going within, even stillness, being in meditation. So it's a great time for us to heal and grow based on what we went through, and also to get ready for our next chapter. It's a time where we come back to stillness and let die what's ready to die within us, so that we can nourish and celebrate what's going to bring us forward into the next chapter. Also, water is formless. So, you know, water is before the ego. Even as human beings, our first start was in water, because when we were in our mother's bellies, you know, we're floating in the amniotic fluid. And that's before we even had a sense of self, before we were even born into this world, the physical world. Water itself is like a blank slate. So it's formless. It takes form of the container that it's in. It doesn't have any shape. So it becomes the container that holds it. And then when we consider water from the well of wisdom, that changed to become the river current. So as it moved into a new container, it became the river. Think about what a well feels like. The qualities of well water. It's like calm, there's more stillness, it holds more, maybe there's more depth, versus a fierce river current that's like fast flowing, that's moving, that's relentless on its journey home. Very different, but it's the same element. So, and in the case of the River Boyne, it was moving back into the deep ocean. And then again, imagining the qualities of the ocean, the depth there, maybe there's some stillness, but then there's also a lot of like mystery and the unknown. So when we consider our story with regards to is it our container? We must ask ourselves, are we the container for our story to flow through us? Or are we trying to flow through the container of our story? You know, an example that I'm happy to share is, you know, a few months ago, I decided to make a big life change. And I was living for many years in Canada. Even though I'm from Ireland, I lived there for many years, and I decided to move home to Ireland. And the story behind that, I'll give that a different day. But when I moved home, I was full of excitement and I was like, I'm really ready for this new transition. And I found myself kind of getting into a bit of a rut. And I realized it was because of the story I was telling myself. As I was fitting into Irish society again, I couldn't really flow through the container of that kind of society. The story I started to tell myself as I compared myself to other people with around me was like, oh God, like what have I done? Like I've moved, I've left a great job, I've left great friends, a beautiful place to live, and I'm home, I'm living with family again. I'm starting anew. What have I done? So there was a lot of fear in that story and a lot of I'm not good enough. That was the kind of the program that was playing out in my story. So I decided like I'm going to change that. I'm going to reframe that story because two things are true here. Many things are true here. Yes, I came home to start anew, but I started to tell my story differently because it's really what I felt in my heart, in that how privileged am I to at this age be able to begin anew, and how not only normal is it in life to have many transitions and to change and transform many times again, but how fruitful it is for my soul, for the growth, and how that will help me and help other people. So I started to say what a privilege it was to be able to follow my purpose, to be able to live with family again and share those times that we may not get again. So changing my story, I started to allow the story to flow through me rather than being contained by it. I stopped allowing the story to be my container, and instead I became the container for story to flow, because we always need to give ourselves permission to change and to transform, and we can't do that if we're living by a story. So if we can see how the power of story can inspire us and we can grow, or it can anchor us in fear. It's typically one or the other. So it's a great time. It's always a great time to go within and notice what stories you're living by. Notice if they're restricting you or containing you, or if there are stories that don't even belong to you anymore. Sometimes we can catch ourselves telling stories that our parents used to talk about us, our teachers said about us, our friends that we don't even hang out with anymore. Sometimes we have stories about people that we used to be. When I look back, I kind of think like my childhood, my teenage years, my 20s, and now getting into my 30s, I feel like a completely different person. And I feel so lucky to have lived so many lives in this body, in this time. So with regards to the River Boyne, we can look at, again, the program within the story. Water carries that program. If we think about water and light, they make a rainbow. Like water on its own doesn't make a rainbow. Light on its own can't make a rainbow. But when light hits the water, it's the water that carries the program that creates the rainbow. So, and also the rainbow holds all the colors of, all the colors, and also the wisdom of the colors. And when we bring that into our 7 main chakras, so there's 7 colors of the rainbows, there's 7 main chakras. Same with our DNA and our bones. So again, in Chinese medicine, our bones and our DNA are represented by the water element. So it's very much the water element. It carries the program that created us. Our grandparents, all of their 4 programs came together to make us. So so we're a product of that. We can also relate that back to the stories of mythology, the salmon and knowledge, the story of Goddess Bóinn. So, if you think about it, it was the magic hazel trees that were around the well. The salmon in the water did not carry the wisdom. It was only when the hazel hazelnut hit the water and the salmon ate the hazelnut, that it carried that wisdom. Again, it was the water that carried the program for that transmutation, that activation to happen. And that kind of makes me wonder about us. So when we collaborate with the water element, specifically the energy of the river Boyne itself, that consciousness, because it carries its own frequency, I wonder what is possible for us. So for when our story and our light joins the water, and it collaborates with the program that the water holds, what's possible for us? As we welcome the unknown, we're also welcoming the unbelievable, all the good stuff. So, during this meditation, because I will bring us into a meditation now, we're going to meet Goddess Bóinn. And this meditation is aligned with us releasing any stories that don't serve us anymore. It also helps us to collaborate with the river, the water element itself that carries the program, so that we can heal and evolve our 7 main chakras, so that we can be aligned for our highest and greatest good with our highest path. So I hope you enjoy. If you want to get into a comfortable spot for this meditation, again, it's totally up to you if you want to meditate sitting up straight or have something supporting your back, or if you like to lie down. It's totally okay if you fall asleep. Know that this work is still happening on a subconscious level. But if you want to stay awake and alert, I do recommend sitting up with something comfortable on your back. So whenever you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes if that feels safe. And I just talk for a lot. We just took in lots of information. So just allow yourself to just take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. You can take another deep breath in through your nose and maybe sigh it out. If there's anything that I shared today that doesn't totally resonate or doesn't feel good, you have full permission to let it go, to let it sit outside your own aura. You don't have to take that on. We're now entering a space where your truth gets to be centered, where you're building and developing your own relationship with the water element, with the river Boyne consciousness, and also Goddess Bóinn and any medicine that she has to offer. So let's come together as a group. We can imagine that there's a really beautiful bubble that surrounds us here today, those that are watching this live and anyone that's watching this as a recording in the future. We're all coming together as a group. And we're going to ground our group container, our group bubble. So let's imagine a really beautiful earth cord. You might imagine maybe a tree trunk or any color that feels really supportive. Just imagine this cord deep in the earth, moving up through the soil to attach to the bottom of our group container. And we're also going to welcome in energy from the universe. So let's imagine universal energy, a cord above our bubble, our group container. I like to imagine universal energy as this golden light full of sparkles, natural healing properties. And just allow that universal energy just to pour into our group container. And we're going to set some intentions. So let's set the intention that we're all welcome here today. This is a space where we can learn a lot about ourselves, we can explore. We're going to set the intention that we connect to and live our purpose with joy, creating abundance and love everywhere we go, beginning with within. We're also going to set the intention to release anything that's blocking our light or our willingness to share our light, our purpose. And that's going to be held, nourished, and released really gently. We're going to set the intention that we're more connected and aligned with our soul blueprint, and that whatever is needed today to help us align and take that next bold step happens today. Lastly, we set the intention to develop a really sweet and beautiful relationship with Goddess Bóinn, with water and the river Boyne. May it nourish us. May it soothe fear. May it create wholeness within so that we can create wholeness without. If there's any personal intentions that you would like to set for this meditation, you can do so now. And we're going to welcome in earth energy and universal energy to collaborate and provide deeper insights and wisdom to support our intentions. We can put magnets in front and behind our group container and just allow anything that's not authentic to us to just be released into those magnets. Anything that won't support our intentions gets to be released. We're also going to welcome in our spirit guides and our vaster wisdom, and we're going to ask them to collaborate for our highest and greatest good. So now you can bring your attention to your personal aura, so that magnetic field that surrounds you. Your own personal bubble. And we're going to refresh our grounding cord. So let's imagine a brand new grounding cord, our very own personal connection to the earth, moving up deep in the earth. And again, just allow your intuition to choose any colors, any textures for this earth cord that feels really supportive today. And just allow that to attach to the bottom of your feet. Allow this earth cord to get as wide as your aura. And just give your aura full permission just to completely exhale into the earth. There we go. We can even set the intention, anything that feels stuck in our energy field, other people's energy, just allow your intuition to find any energies that are inauthentic to you and just watch them wash away into the earth. Just allow them full permission to be released. And again, if there's any intentions or any information from this session that isn't resonating, just allow it to sit outside your aura. Good. And we're going to welcome in universal energy. So let's imagine a beautiful cord connecting us to the universe and allow that to pour into the top of our aura, the top of our heads. Streams of grace just pouring through our 7 layers of our aura, moving through our energy centers, and just like the sun, just allow it to burn away any energy that doesn't belong to you, sending it back to its higher self. And now we're going to recall our authentic energies. Let's imagine a symbol that represents your authentic energy and allow that symbol to sit in front of you. It can be anything. It can be a shape, a star, it could be a seashell, or it could be a flower. And we're going to recall our authentic energies through all dimensions of space and time into that symbol. Our guides can help us. We're going to recall our energies back from other people's spaces, back from online, our phones, into that symbol. And our guides are going to bless our energies, enhance them, update them, and then beam them in from the bottom of your feet all the way up to the top of your head. Just taking your time to reintegrate your authentic energy. And now that we're resourced and we're connected to our own authentic energy, we're ready to meet Goddess Bóinn. So let's imagine that we're in beautiful Ireland. We're in County Meath. And we're walking along the banks of the River Boyne. And just notice how calm it feels. You can hear the river running. Feels really peaceful, present. And you find a really nice spot at the edge of the river bank. And you can take a comfortable seat here. And just kind of contemplating your story. What is the story that you're weaving in this life? And we're not bringing any judgment. We're just allowing our story just to be kicked up here. Notice if there's any themes in your story. Notice what kind of feelings, emotions it might bring up. Notice if it's a story or stories that empower, that give us energy, invigorate us like the river. Or are they stories that may feel us heavy, defeated, a little lost? Again, no judgment. We're just going to bring awareness to any stories that have been circulating in our life. Remembering that we always have the power to reset. We're always returning to our true form if we want it. And just notice in front of you in the water. You notice in the water, it begins to move, and a figure of a goddess begins to be created from the water, begins to rise up in front of you. And this can be a figure of a woman, a goddess, or it could be a symbol. Notice what pops into your head. Notice how Goddess Bóinn wants to show herself to you today. And just trust whatever form she wants to relate to you right now. We can use symbolism to make relating a lot easier, a lot more tangible. There's no wrong answer. Notice what color or colors that she is. Notice the shapes. How does her presence feel? her knowledge and wisdom that she holds, and her desire to nourish and protect life. How does that feel in our presence? And we're going to say hello to Goddess Bóinn, and we're going to introduce yourself. So your name, where you're from, what year it is. And we're just going to just show her how much gratitude that we have for her for showing up. And again, we can offer a whole ocean of gratitude. And we can offer her gifts, flowers, kind of nourishment for the river, maybe for the fish that live there. And we're going to thank her and just take in and just honor how immense she is and her beauty, how important she is. And we're going to ask her, is there anything that she wants or that she needs support with right now? Maybe she asks for something energetic like love. We can open our heart and pour love energy over this goddess. She may ask for a commitment. She may ask for help cleaning the river. Maybe she wants to balance with another element. We can offer her wind. We can wash over her with earth energy or fire, whatever is needed or asked for. We can just trust our intuition. We always say yes. And now we're gonna ask Goddess Bóinn if she has any blessings or upgrades that can support our own hopes and dreams. If she has any healings that can help us connect and live out our purpose and allow it to nourish us and sustain us and everyone around us. If she, the River Boyne, has the program to activate our light and help us to live with more joy, abundance, gratitude, and love for everything that we already have. If she can help us to rewrite our story so that it's inspiring and empowering, it's one of hope, overcoming into what we didn't even know was possible, love we didn't know was possible, abundance we didn't know was possible, relationships we never knew possible with ourselves and with others. And as we ask Goddess Bóinn, we can see this beautiful light blue energy, this light moving from her, and it just surrounds our entire aura. And she's holding us in a bubble of love and protection for this upgrading. Okay, we're going to imagine that her energy, this light blue energy, continues to pour from Goddess Bóinn, pouring from her heart and her solar plexus, and allow it to move counterclockwise from the top of our head all the way down, moving down towards our feet. And we're just allowing this energy to swirl counterclockwise through our aura, through our different energy centers. Notice how it feels as she kicks up any fear. Moving counterclockwise, it allows any heavy emotions, anything that's stuck or blocking our journey, an empowerment journey, allow that to be kicked up, allow it to come to the surface. Trust that whatever is ready to be released is going to come up for healing now. And as that's working, as her energy swirls around us counterclockwise, we can imagine that in front of us there's this really big bubble. And this bubble has its own grounding cord and it has its own universal cord, so it stays in place. And you may notice from the energy, the light that's swirling around us, there may be different energy centers that feel more tension. There may be emotions that are coming up. Notice where they are in the body. And we're going to give full permission for everything that's being shaken up now from our inner well. We're going to allow it to bubble up and just be released into that bubble. And we trust that everything that's coming up is ready to be healed, transformed, or released. So we welcome this energy. We're not afraid. We thank this energy for showing up, for having the courage to come to the surface. And as we find it, we can imagine there's a magnet in front of us beside this bubble. And just allowing all of these unprocessed emotions, any fear, anything that's blocked or stuck, to just pour into that bubble. And we're going to ask the energy now that's in that bubble in front of us, that energy that was purged and released into the bubble. We're going to ask the question, how much of this energy is my authentic energy? And we're waiting for a number or a percentage. Don't be surprised if you hear quite a low percentage. If you're unsure, you can ask, is that accurate? And notice if another number comes. We can also ask, how much of this energy in this bubble belongs to my ancestors? How much of this is ancestral energy? And again, just trust whatever number comes into your head. We can also ask, how much of this energy is societal? And we're going to give full permission now for any energy that's ancestral, familial, societal, any energy that's inauthentic to us gets to be released now into that earth cord. And now the energy in this bubble we know is our own authentic energy. And we can only heal and transform what's ours. We can't heal and transform someone else's energy. And we can ask this energy, what does it need from us? What does it need us to release? And we're going to offer this energy a really beautiful healing using all of the elements. Let's begin with the element of earth and allow earth to just wash over this bubble, moving through any stuck energy, anything that's dense or blocked. We're going to welcome in the element of water, and maybe we want to welcome in the river water. Notice what body of water wants to come forward. Is it a river, a fierce current, or is it a still lake or well? Healing ocean water. Allow this bubble to choose whatever water feels most appropriate, and just allow that to pour over and washing and nourishing all of this energy. We're going to welcome in the element of fire and just allow the fire to transmute any karmic energies, cords of enmeshment. The fire is also going to transmute any inauthentic energies, contracts, vows, agreements that are ready to be completed or cancelled will happen in the background. We'll also welcome in the element of wind and allow a final clearing. We also set the intention, any lessons from this energy gets to be uploaded into our Akashic records. And now we're going to bring in a rainbow of energies and allow the rainbow of energies to pour into the bubble, infusing these energies. We'll welcome up earth energy and give these energies full permission to ask for whatever they need and whatever they want from the earth and from the universe. And they have full permission. We're going to be totally loved and totally cared for. And now we're going to allow Goddess Bóinn to imbue this energy with her own wisdom, our own insight, and nourishing and healing this energy. We can imagine that she offers her blessing by touching the bubble. And as she does that, it transforms, allowing it to burst into light. And we're going to allow this light to choose whoever much wants to be recycled by the universe can go into the universe. However much of this transformed energy wants to go into the earth and be recycled by the earth, that gets to happen now. If there's any energy that wants to be reintegrated, if that feels good, you can allow that to happen now. And the river Boyne carries the program, remembering that water carries the program. And when this water, this program, is combined with our light, it creates a rainbow. So let's now imagine beautiful river Boyne, this fast flowing or fierce river current. Just allow it to pour over your aura, to wash over you. Notice how it feels. Notice how it invigorates you, cleanses you, it washes away debris. Notice how relentless the water is in its goal. Notice that how the river flows through you, flows through your 7 main chakras, your 7 layers of your aura, that it has a role to play. Even though it's on its own flow of life, it nourishes you, and that just by being itself, it activates something in you. It activates your light. And you have the power to do that too. After all, we are 80% water. Now we're going to allow the river to begin at our feet. And we're going to watch as the river current swirls up our body, this time moving in a clockwise motion. And it moves up past our legs and into the base of our spine, moving through our root chakra. This is our first energy center. And it's going to wash away any energy that is stagnant, any energy that no longer serves you or your story or your purpose. And it's also going to bless the energy that's going to take you to the next level, take you into the next chapter, allow you to take that step forward. And to do so with courage, to do so as your birthright and why you're here, and just to do so with a lot of confidence. We're going to watch as this water, the river Boyne, continues to flow upward, clockwise motion into your second energy center, just below your belly button, your sacral chakra. And this is the chakra that holds the energy of water. So it might feel really good here. And just allow the water just to bless your second energy center. It's going to provide a healing and upgrade for this energy center. How you move through relationships. It's going to help heal relationships. It's going to bring in new programs for what it means to have your needs met, new ways to have your needs met, what pleasure, new ways to receive pleasure, and how that can be woven into your story too. We're going to allow this water now to continue up into our stomach area, into our solar plexus, moving in a clockwise motion. And this is our center of power, our personal power. We're going to allow the water to wash over our third energy center, washing away anything that's negative, that's blocked or stuck. Allow to bless our third energy center, healing and upgrading it to who we are now, closer to our true form. Ask yourself, can you give yourself more permission to be your true form? To walk through life as your authentic self? Can you allow yourself to soften and open here? We can even ask, what does the river Boyne, what can it teach me about fear? What can it teach me about being myself? We're going to allow the river Boyne to heal and update self-concept and identity. It's going to reset your self-talk, how you view yourself. We're going to allow the water to empower us. And as we are empowered, so is our story. And now we're going to allow this water to continue to swirl upwards to the heart center, moving through our chest, our arms, our hands, our back. And again, this water is going to reprogram, activate our light. And this is going to ripple out into how we love ourselves, how we love one another, how we show love, maybe greater capacity to hold more of our light, to share our light. And the water is just going to allow any debris of previous chapters of life that are now finished, that are now complete, allow them to fall away, to be washed away and nourished by the earth. And again, how much permission can you give to your heart to rewrite your story? One which offers a path to greater love, abundance, joy, strength. And just allow any healing and upgrading that needs to happen on this level to happen. We're going to allow the water then to move up towards our throat, to our fifth energy center. And the water is going to wash over our throat, washing away any energy that's stuck or blocked, any times where we couldn't use our voice, times when we spoke when our throat was not aligned with our heart. We're going to bring lots of compassion and forgiveness for all those times. And we're going to allow this water, the river Boyne, to align our center of will, of communication with our heart, bringing greater ease to us speaking our truth with more love. And now we're going to allow this water to continue spiraling up to our third eye. And as it moves through our third eye, it heals and evolves our sight, our inner sight, aligning our vision with our highest path, where we get glimpses of stories where our purpose brings more joy and gratitude, stories of triumph, where we get to collect more wisdom for our soul, for our higher self. And allow it to show us ways that we can actually share our light that help other people, that help the world. And we're going to allow this now to continue flowing upwards, spiraling around our seventh energy center, our crown chakra. And this is our connection with the divine, with our higher self. So allow this water to flow over your crown, washing away anything that's stuck or blocked. Any other programs, the water is going to wash away and just allow any debris of programs that no longer serve you, that are not authentic to you, just to fall away, to be washed away. And it just makes all the more space for your soul and your soul's purpose to be embodied with greater joy and ease. And trust that it's time. that whatever evolution is meant for your highest good is happening now. And again, we can just allow the river Boyne, the river current to flow and wash over our aura, bringing balance. And we're going to watch as this river gently moves back into the Boyne, into the banks. And it's moving back to join Goddess Bóinn. And we're going to reconnect the earth. So let's refresh our grounding cord and bring up a brand new grounding cord, a new earth cord to support all this work that just happened today. And we're going to welcome up earth energy into our aura. Allow it to fill any spaces, any gaps. Allow the earth to celebrate you and all the work you did, all the great healing that happened. We're going to ask the earth to share with us any frameworks for how to use our purpose in a way that nourishes us and nourishes everyone that we come in contact with, and even beyond that. So we can imagine this earth energy moves into our first energy center, through our feet, up into our legs, to the base of our spine, and beyond. We're going to bring in more sparkles, that universal energy, allow it to wash over you. And then notice what would bring you in more into balance. Think of all the elements. Now, let's say in front of you, there's water, there's earth energy, there's wind, there's fire. Notice what element wants to move closer to you. And we're going to invite that element now to wash over us. Just really gently and softly allow it to wash over, moving through our aura, bringing us into balance. We can also recall our authentic energies, so welcoming in that symbol that represents your authentic energy again. Our guides are going to help us to recall our authentic energies. They're going to enhance them, upgrade them, bless them, and beam them in. We're going to beam them in from the bottom of our feet all the way up to the top of our head, allowing our own authentic energies to reintegrate to who we are now. And we're going to thank Goddess Bóinn. Again, opening your heart to offer love and gratitude. Maybe you can offer a gift, a crystal or flowers. Whatever offering feels good. We're going to thank the river and the water. And we're going to say goodbye for now. And we can watch as Goddess Bóinn becomes the river again and continues to flow to reach in its stillness back into the ocean. And we're going to come back into our group container. We're going to send back any energy that's in our space that's not our energy. So let's send back each other's energies. And we're going to recall our energies back. Recalling our energy from other people's space. And we're going to thank the earth and the universe and our guides for helping us today. And whenever you're ready, you can take your time, open your eyes, come back to the video. And know that you can revisit this meditation anytime that you want to reset, that you want to rewrite your story, one from fear into empowerment. So thank you so much for joining today.